Yo, what's up? This is Alex from Mindful Attraction 2.0. So today we're going to talk about one of the topics I don't talk about mostly. I don't talk about that much is how to think more clearly and more positively in the midst of chaos. All right, and it's important to have this because I usually teach about not thinking, right? But what happens when you think? You see, well, how do you think more positively? A lot of the times, our thinking is based on the kind of thinking that people have around us, and also the emotional states. Emotional states are converted into thoughts. You see, it's kind of like the transmutation from base metal into gold, from emotions into thought. You see, first came emotions, our primordial brain, the reptilian brain, right? That has emotions, fears, happiness, pleasure, and then our cerebral cortex produces thoughts. Look, I could easily be wrong, but that's what I believe. It's kind of like our emotions. Our emotions produces our thoughts and actions. So it's kind of like our thoughts are the production, are the result of our emotions. Our emotions are the result of our mental, of our brain circuitry per se, right? Anyways, so essentially, in order, most people don't know how to think clearly and positively because they cannot control their own thoughts, right? So I'm gonna show you two different ways to control your thinking so that it can become more positive. The first way is through asking the right questions, right? Most of our thinking is pretty much questions and answers kind of thing, right? We usually ask questions and then we usually answer them in the form of thought. You say to yourself, man, how am I feeling right now? Unconsciously, and you're like, fuck, I don't feel good. Like the thought of, man, I don't feel good is because of a response of, how am I feeling right now? Like a little self inquiry. It's usually very low, but it's there, right? So for the most part, when things occur, we usually ask ourselves certain questions, right? Why did this happen to me? Or fuck, why am I late? Why this? Why that? And those kind of thoughts usually produce what? Kind of victim kind of answers, like why does life does this to me? It's because I suck, it's because of this, it's because of that. Like certain questions produces certain answers, and certain questions also causes you not to get certain answers. So if you always ask yourself, why me, you will never ask yourself, what can I do right now to learn from this, right? So in order to think more clearly, first shift the kind of questions you're asking. So I wrote this. These are some of the notes I took from Tony Robbins' book. And it says, for example, when people feel depressed, it's because they are asking questions to confirm the identity. For example, if you ask, why can't I quit smoking cigarettes? It will tell you why you can't quit smoking cigarettes. It will produce thoughts that tell you why you cannot quit smoking cigarettes, right? If you ask, how can I make quitting easier? It will give you kind answers that will show you how can you make quitting easier. But the key is not to ask that question once, because if people who are smoking cigarettes, they ask themselves, why can't I quit a shit ton of times, right? They ask themselves that a shit ton of times. So when you ask yourself, how can I make quitting easier? Ask that continually. Whenever things happen, whenever something bad happens, rather than saying, why can I quit? Say, how can I quit easier? What can I learn from this to make quitting easier? You see what I'm saying? The other important factor is not only the questions you ask, but also the questions you fail to ask, right? For example, if you can't go to sleep early, ask yourself, how can I make going to sleep early more enjoyable? Then your brain will tell you how can you make that happen? You see what I'm saying? And most of the time, we don't even ask ourselves a question. We just assume that we can't sleep, so we take action. An action that could be toxic, like taking NyQuil. I take NyQuil. I should apply this, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm being a hypocrite right now. I do apply this, it's just not in certain areas, right? So here are some questions that work, right? And I got this from Tony Robbins' book, Waking the Giant Within. I personally don't recommend it because it's so fucking long. I recommend another one. Is it here? No, it's not here. I recommend another book that's much better than Awaken the Giant Within, because that shit is a fucking brick. Whatever. I'll find it later. So these are some of the questions that you can ask. One, let me see. How questions work, right? 1 second. So, anyways, I'm sorry. I'm gonna read some of these notes. So, questions change your focus and your feelings towards things, right? So for example, you can't just say I'm happy. That won't create change. Rather, what am I happy about? You see what I'm saying? These questions causes you to come up with references to feel happy about. So rather than saying, why can I feel happy? Ask yourself, what am I happy about right now? What am I grateful about right now? And that'll direct your thinking to think more positively. But you gotta ask it. You gotta really ask it consistently, right? Questions provide a reason to feel good. That's what it does, right? um find out the questions that people who quit a behavior, and that they ask themselves during times of temptation. For example, let's say you are a husband and a sexy ass woman comes to you, right? And suddenly you're like, fuck, what can I do right now, what can I do right now? Rather than saying fuck, how can I rather than saying why did this happen to me, why, you have to say what can I do right now to make saying no to this woman a lot easier and more enjoyable. Well, that'll make it enjoyable. But what can I do right now to make being faith? What am I happy about in my relationship? What can I do right now to say no to her in the most effortless way? Right? Asking yourself those questions consistently will show you how to think more better, right? What I like to do is ask myself, what can I do right now? Or what happens if I do the opposite? That's something that I like to ask myself. What happens if I do the opposite? Or what happens if what's another question that I usually ask myself? What can I learn from this? Or how can I make this easier? You see? Or what did someone who went through this problem, what did they do differently from me? You see, asking yourself those questions, it may not make a difference the first time, but if you consistently ask yourself questions that challenge your belief system, and that assumes positive traits rather than saying, why can I quit? What can I do right now to make quitting easier, right? It'll change your thinking over time. Okay, that's one way. Okay, so asking yourself the proper question. The second way is through being present in the moment. The problem with thinking is that people think a lot, and because they think a lot, they produce a lot of low quality thoughts, right? And it's because you're overexerting your thinking. You're thinking too fucking much. So a simple way to do it is don't think when you don't have to think, right? For example, let's say that I'm just chilling out, right? Usually when you're just chilling, you're thinking most of the time, oh, Alex is so cool. Oh, Alex is so cute. He's not hot. Like stuff like that, right? So usually the overthinking causes you to, when it's time to think about something important, you think so much that you can't think clearly. So something that you have to do is then change your focus from your thoughts into your physical sensation. For example, rather than, no, I'm thinking, feel the sensation of your hand. Just feel the sensation of your hand. When you feel the sensation of your hand, your focus goes from where? From this to what? To this. Now, your hand cannot think. You see, your hand cannot think. You can only feel. Now, your thoughts are what? Quiet. Try right now. Feel your hand. Feel your hand completely. Is there thinking? There isn't, right? So now when you think, now your thoughts are more, or it has more quality, right? Let's say you're talking to someone, right? You're talking, right? And rather than thinking, you're feeling your hand. And when it's time for you to talk, you don't say, what am I going to say next? You just talk, right? And now whatever you say is going to be a lot more congruent with the moment. It's not going to be based on your own insecurities, but rather from the moment, right? So a way to think better is to think less. So that when it's time to think, you're thinking, the faculties you're thinking are on point, right? So you only think when it's time to think. You don't think banally. You just think efficiently. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so that's it, right? I hope that made sense. So it's simple. So just feel your hand, and just practice mindfulness. Honest to God, just practice mindfulness. That will improve your thinking in incredible ways. So whenever you're going about your day, just feel your hand, or feel your feet, or feel your breath, or just focus on the physical sensation of your experience. And so you're diverting your attention from your thoughts into your body. And what happens is that when it's time to think, then you think. When it's time not to think, you don't think. So now it's quality thinking that's happening. See what I'm saying? And quality thinking usually leads to positive thinking. Not positive thinking about thinking that's based on reality. Because when you're thinking and you're too emotional, your thinking is not gonna be based on reality, because it's gonna be based on your distorted emotions that distorts reality. So the less identified you are with your emotions, the more congruent and the more based on reality your thoughts are going to be. So you're not going to be saying, is he trying to cheat on me, without you even seeing he's cheating on you. You're not going to be thinking paranoid thoughts. You're not going to be assuming things of people just because of their appearances. See what I'm saying? Anyways, I hope this makes a lot of sense. This is Alex from mindfulattraction.org. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.